You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to round 6 of ETS Open, week number 1 of season 2. This is the final round of the Swiss, so we are looking at a couple of players fighting for their top 8 lives. We have PixelSorted against vampus. Vampus, I've heard his name might be pronounced Wampus, so I apologize either way. Huru mid-range from him. So pretty typical, like what you'd expect from Hoover mid-range, some Kothon, some Hoover pacifiers, Unseen Commando, Sheltering Riders, Amillies, and Nostrix being the major threats. He's got a couple of mirror images to maybe copy some Amillies or Nostrixes. Also mirror imaging a Sheltering Riders, also not the worst thing you could do. On the other side, we have a Feln mid-range deck we're calling Big Feln. So it's got some of the typical Feln control elements in Cold Blood, Death Strike, Wisdom of the Elders, Hailstorm, things like that, and Feln Bloodcaster, but it also plays cards like Rindra, Daraka, and just wants to play more like a mid-range deck. A couple of Dark Returns in there as well. It definitely feels more like a control style deck, but it can definitely get some beatdowns on with like Rindra into Champion of Cunning Curves and win the game like before turn 6 or 7 even rolls around. So I am flying solo for right now, waiting on Calimdir to get back here to attend to a couple of things, but we are ready to head on down to the match with just me, as PixelSorted is on the play. He plays a depleted Feln banner for his first turn. Vampus draws return. It's a Seek Power. He's got 4 power already in hand, one of which is a Cobalt Monument. As maybe he doesn't know that he has the go ahead to start, but he does have couple of options here. Plays Primal Sigil, Seek Power, grabs a Justice Sigil. Dark Return is the draw for PixelSorted as we head back his way. Seed of Cunning here. Doesn't really have a play to make. Nothing is charged. His Lightning Strike's not going to get played. Nothing Dark Return. Kothon from Vampus on turn 2. Decent enough opening. You want your 2 drops. Shadow Sigil into Feln Bloodcaster. So Feln Bloodcaster is going to prevent the Kothon from really dealing too much damage here. Kothon does choose to attack, and PixelSorted has to decide what am I playing around by not blocking. I can't think of anything. Finest Hour comes to mind. I'm not sure if that's in his main deck. Take a quick peek. There are 3 Finest Hours, so Vampus does get the bluff attack in past the Feln Bloodcaster. An Unseen Commando is to play. PixelSorted plays a depleted power for the turn, passes on back. Unseen Commando in the air, ready to hit for 3. Lightning Strike's going to be able to answer that, though. But we're going to mirror image that first. And what the mirror image does, interestingly enough, is that it's going to get this Unseen Commando out of Lightning Strike range. It's going to become a 4/5. That's a pretty great mirror image from Vampus. PixelSorted staring at this Lightning Strike, being like, what do I do? It's the worst. There is the attack. Lightning Strike's not going to answer that. It means we're just going to see a Wisdom of the Elders instead. Try to find powers number 5 and 6 for these Harbingers that are hanging out. In Cold Blood, not a bad pickup. He can answer the remaining copies of Unseen Commando that are in Vampus's deck if he chooses to go that route, which maybe he does. Maybe he wants to strategize instead. No, we're going to see it in Cold Blood. Okay, so no more Unseen Commandos ever again. Unless we see another mirror image come out. But attack for 3 here. And we're going to get in for a little bit more. PixelSorted already decided he was playing around Finest Hour earlier, but realizes there's no more pauses. He's not worried about it. As Amillie is the follow-up, and Amillie is not really easily answerable from PixelSorted here. He's going to have to strategize, try to find something. Gabe, did you come back yet?
Yes, I am here. Hello.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So all you missed was a couple a really nice mirror image being played to copy an Unseen Commando to play around a Lightning Strike, and now we're, as the big Feln player is kind of staring against 2 big flyers that he has no real answers to.
Yeah, I think in this matchup, generally, I'm sure you went over it, but Huru is usually pretty favored here just because There's too many threats that just must be answered by this film deck.
Yeah, we're gonna see Hailstorm come down. It's gonna take care of the X3s, the Kothon, and the Unseen Commando. That means no more Unseen Commandos ever again. The In Cold Blood answered all the other ones, and then we kill this one here. So if PixelSorted is able to draw an undepleted power, he'll be able to to freeze the Amelie, which he does draw. So he could just play the Duraka, freeze the Amelie. Then he's only taking 5 a turn. The other option is play a Black Sky Harbinger. It answers the 1/1. It checks the 4/4, but Amelie can still attack and generate a couple of like generate a 2/2 this turn if it wants.
Yeah, I mean Amelie is just there's not really a good answer for it in the film deck, other than Champion of Cunning is the only thing that really blocks it after 2 turns. But Amelie's just gonna keep making Valkyries here.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how much life he wants PixelSorted to gain. Like he can attack, generate a 2/2. Valkyrie Enforcer is the play here. That's gonna take the Valkyrie. That's gonna take the Harbinger out of the sky. We're gonna come in for 8 damage. That's half of PixelSorted's life total. Falls down to 8. And this is a board full of flyers. Harbinger can come down, gain a little bit of that health back, but it's not gonna really solve too many problems, I think.
Yeah, now playing this Valkyrie Enforcer is a much, much heavier commitment to the board because now something like a Hailstorm is actually pretty relevant. Something like Annihilate Hailstorm just kind of puts PixelSorted right back in control of the game, but doesn't look like that's going to happen here.
No, I think what is likely to happen if you play the Harbinger is it gets vanquished by the Vanquish that the Huru player is playing 4 copies of. We see 1 in Vampus's hand right now. So that nerf kind of showing that it may actually be a nerf after all, although I don't believe it is. But
it's not. It's not.
It feels like a nerf here as the Vanquish comes down, and that's going to be an attack for 13 damage. That is exactly lethal coming in from Vampus. PixelSorted falls down to exactly 0. And we're going to head on to game number 2. But before that, we're going to take a look at these players' sideboards. So we're going to take a look at the film player's sideboard. Maybe he has some silver bullets in his sideboard to try to fix this issue.
Matchup, yes. You know, yeah. Looks like he's got 2 permafrost, which are pretty good in this matchup. 4 sabotage, less good. The 3 annihilates, I'm also very excited about. Then 1 lightning strike, 1 rain of frogs, and 4 channel the tempest. There's maybe an argument for lightning strike. I think rain of frogs is not really a matchup for it. It's a little too proactive, and channel the tempest obviously very slow. Also,
yeah, I think we're definitely looking at permafrost here. It's a nice clean answer to the Amelies. Make sure they can't really do anything to hurt you. Unseen Commando, it's not great against Unseen Commando, but fine.
Right, right.
They're like the big things you need to worry about. Other than that, the Annihilates, again, it hits a lot of what PixelSorted is doing. Not quite all of it, but it, when you consider Valkyrie Enforcer, Unseen Commando, Amelie, you've got some targets for it. I think it's good enough to warrant bringing in.
I think removal is going to be really key here because traditionally the Felm deck's like, all right, we've got some really efficient blockers in Felm Bloodcaster, Rindra, Harbinger, and then we'll remove whatever we can't really block. However, when everything is flying, you kind of take a lot of that away from the Felm deck, and so removal becomes a lot more valuable.
Right? Yeah, Rindra can't block like Unseen Commando, for instance, or Huru Pacifier. So in the Huru player's sideboard, Vampus, he's got 2 copies of Bring Down, 2 copies of Protect, 3 Unseals, 3 Island's Choice, a couple of Hailstorms, and 3 Rain of Frogs. He's teched to beat control decks, and I'm not sure this Felm deck is a control deck. It definitely wants to be more of a mid-rangey deck. It's got some control elements, the Cold Bloods, the Hailstorms. That is probably worth bringing in the Unseals for, and probably even the Island's Choices, honestly.
I think in Eternal we really blurred the line between mid-range and control.
Yeah, most control decks are just glorified mid-range decks.
Yeah. So I think this is I would say this is a control deck though. We do have the Wisdom, we do have the Hailstorms, just that our finishers are the same mid-range finishers.
But yeah, I think they're pretty excited to bring in the counter spells, the Unseal and the Protect, and maybe not too much else. Island's Choice is probably okay. Takes care of like Durakas and 5/5s Rindras.
It looks like players are into the match. I'm going to check out what's going on here. Just take a look at mulligans for now. Looks like PixelSorted has a 1-power hand, so gonna have to send that back. Not sure what's going on in Vampus's hand yet.
No, I don't quite have a good look at the deck or at the hand cam quite yet, but yeah, obviously PixelSorted's not going to be too eager to keep a Shadow, Sigil, Annihilate, Channel Tempest, which he did bring in from the sideboard. He's got 4 of them, and he brought them in. Well, he redraws into a pretty reasonable hand. He's got a Permafrost and Wisdom of the Elders as like early things in Cold Blood can take care of like the scary threat.
Yeah, definitely. I like any hand with Wisdom, a castable Wisdom in it, to be honest.
Yep. He does only have 1 Shadow influence in his hand. He had the Seed of, I believe it was a Seed of Cunning, and no other Shadow source. He's going to have to try to Wisdom of the Elders into him.
Vampus's side does have a 2-drop into a 3-drop. Not necessarily going to want to play that Valkyrie Enforcer right on 3, but still
Annihilate
not
the
bad.
draw from PixelSorted. Yeah, I mean, Crown Watch Paladin happens to be one of the better cards that he can have. It's, being an Aegis unit is just tough for Feln to deal with a lot of the time. Like, if that was something else, it could be permafrosted. I guess Kothon can't be either, but
yeah, especially post board when you expect maybe they take out some cards like Rindra or Feln Bloodcaster that don't have as much value in the matchup. Make Crown Watch Paladin a little better.
Yeah, absolutely. Crown Watch Paladin. I mean, even just getting a couple of attacks in is worth it. Like those War Cries, the fact that it potentially trades, with even 2 of Vara's favors, I think you're still fine with that.
Whoa,
that's going to take up a lot of your opponent's turn.
Panel attempts from PixelSorted came in. That's interesting.
Yeah, we saw that in his pre-mulligan hand. He had a copy, and he drew another one here. He did find his second Shadow, the Seed of Cunning in hand. He's going to have to decide how he wants to navigate this. He can, if he wants to, just strategize, try to get a little bit more information on what's going on, maybe bottom that, like, Channel the Tempest that's not doing anything for a while. And, maybe pop an Aegis with a Permafrost if he really wants to. He has a Crest of Cunning now that he can use. So he's got a lot of tools. It's just a matter of using them in the right order against the right things.
All right, so the one argument I can make for Channel the Tempest here is against a deck with 4 Channel Tempest and a bunch of removal, it is nearly impossible to run them out of a removal as long as they're, playing their power and stuff like that. So if that's what his game plan is if his plan is like, you know what, my whole deck is removal, we're just playing a removal every turn, and we're going to get to 8 power, and we're going to kill him eventually, then I kind of see it. If he's cut a lot of other threats, then it makes a bit more sense. But yeah, if he still has the other late game threats, then this is a very interesting choice that I wouldn't agree with.
It's kind of a classic example of just like knowing your role in the matchup. Like he definitely understands that he is the control in this matchup. He's not going to win most races. Right. He's not going to like be the aggressor. So just fully embrace that and just try to be the true control deck that you can be. Like, and that's what the channels are for. So he's not trying to like play this halfway game. It's like, I can be aggressive. I can also be controlling. He's just deciding I'm going to be just controlling this game. I'm going to try to go to the late game and try to overpower you with card advantage and removal. And I think that's a reasonable plan. I think it's totally defensible.
Hey, Duraka and Champion of Cunning are pretty good in race scenarios. Let me tell you,
they can win some races. That is true.
But yeah, I do actually don't mind this game plan, especially with all of the removal in PixelSorted's hand. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he is ready for a long game right now.
Yeah, and Vampus has had a really slow startup here, so the long game is here.
Yeah, I mean, PixelSorted is only able to get 6 damage in. Now, it was 6 damage with 3 War Cries as well, which Vampus hasn't drawn yet. He still has a Valkyrie Enforcer that hasn't had any targets yet. He's got a Storm Dancer in hand that might come down this turn. He might want to hold up Protect with it as well. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or the Unseal as well.
Yeah, I don't know if we got to Vampus' sideboard, but they did have 2 Bring Downs, 2 Protects, 3 Unseals, 3 Island's Choice, and 3 Rain of Frogs. That's so much anti-film. You definitely cannot bring all of that in, but we do see one of the Unseals come out. We know there's Protects, things like that. Bring Down probably didn't make its way in.
No, I can't imagine it did. Maybe
there are some good targets for it.
There are. I mean, Champion of Cunning is obviously something you would love to bring down as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and Harbinger.
Harbinger, yeah. As we see the Annihilate get countered by Unseal. PixelSorted just plays a Seek power here. So he gets kind of rewarded for holding the 5-drop, the 4/4 flyer Storm Dancer, because now PixelSorted uses a premium removal spell. Vampus was even able to counter it, and he's still on the board. PixelSorted is kind of behind and trying to catch up by using these removal spells. As there's another Annihilate in PixelSorted's hand he picked up this turn. I believe it was this turn.
I'm really surprised to see this Finest Hour in postboard. I don't know if that's entirely correct. It can trade with a Hailstorm potentially, something like that, but generally not going to be that useful. This matchup, I don't think it's going to be much about unit combat math, and I think maybe Vampus misread that.
Yeah, I think what Vampus thought was he's going to want to use Finest Hour to like push damage through against like blockers like Black Sky Harbingers and champions. And things like that. You're able to kill them. Well,
it trades for not really like half a card here. So that's, and there goes Skywatch Paladin.
PixelSorted's going to be able to get to 8. He plays a Cobalt Waystone, face Aegis on the line. He's got Channel Tempest for next turn. Not great against the 9/9. That we found the War Cries. 4 of them on a Sheltering Rider.
I still think this is looking really good for PixelSorted. I mean, Protect is pretty strong. Vanquish is pretty strong. Valkyrie Enforcer are very strong. But I think the game has been stalled long enough that this In Cold Blood and this channel might be enough to close.
I don't know.
I'm thinking once this Protect comes down and this attack comes in, if PixelSorted just has to take it and then can't remove the Sheltering Rider completely next turn, that's going to be a lot of damage. So
I think this game got really turned on its head by the fact that it was a 9/9 Silverwing Familiar specifically because the Protect is still in his hand. If you think back to the turn where he unsealed the Annihilate instead of using Protect, that Protect is going to, it would have been worth 5 damage this turn. Now he's holding it to try to blow out like the In Cold Blood or Channel the Tempest that we're looking at.
Yeah.
But I think just the way this game played out, it feels as if Vampus is actually much more favored than he was maybe 2 or 3 turns ago.
Yeah, the Protect is just too much tempo. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about that. But Lightning Strike is going to help out a lot here.
Yeah, Lightning Strike's going to take care of the 3/3. As
the Sheltering Rider comes in. So the thing is, Vampus just drew 2 more powerful must-answer threats, and PixelSorted is down to 1 removal spell, and it doesn't even kill either of the threats on the board.
Yeah, with a Millie being the play from PixelSorted, or from Vampus rather, that's a lot of pressure on the board. That's representing 8 damage next turn. That's a 2-turn clock. Channel the Tempest can not really do that much either. My viewpoint kind of like crashed. I need to restart.
That's okay. So Death Strike was the draw for PixelSorted off of Wisdom the others, which takes care of this Amelie. That's going to put him back in the game a little bit. I mean, still on a clock here, still on a 3-turn clock, and then Sheltering Rider is going to come down, make it a 1-turn clock. But draws another In Cold Blood, has that Vera's favor as well. So actually has some answers here. Can deal with both units here. Protect has been dealt with. Finally going to get to this final. Pulls the Sheltering Rider out of Vampus's hand, which is super critical.
That was the big deal of that In Cold Blood turn was a little bounce attack there is cute.
Yeah.
That was the big deal. That In Cold Blood is it actually takes Sheltering Rider out of the hand and means that's a lot less pressure that Vampus has going for him.
And now Channel the Tempest actually does things. And now we get to see that game plan come to fruition from PixelSorted of just all of the removal.
Champion of Cunning is the draw. And now, suddenly PixelSorted was able to weave his way through everything that was happening into a position where, he's pretty favored here. Like if he wants to double Channel the Tempest and pretend Protect's not a card or something, he can do that.
So here's the ultimate mind game. You're like, all right, last time I attacked, you just blocked, it bounced, it was no big deal. But now you got the Vera's favor. See, now you got the Vera's favor. You get the free 4 damage. Easy.
Yep, Vampus not playing or decides to play around the Vara's favor. Channel Tempest is going to actually take care of this Kothon. No ultimates for you.
So you didn't even have to have the Vera's favor to make that play. You just mind game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and he still has that available next turn as well, except we're going to see potentially this I see Channel the Tempest, Face, and then Permafrost, the Sheltering Rider, and just attack for lethal.
Yeah, I think Vanquish needed to come down, but even then, the game was mostly over. Just once PixelSorted was able to cast all of his Channel of Tempest, it was just way too much card advantage.
Yeah, like
So
this game
late
ended
in
with
that
Pixel
game,
Sorted having like 11 cards and Vampus having 2.
Yep.
One of which he could have played and chose not to, which, you know, is negligible in the grand scheme of things, but definitely could have saved himself like 4 or 8 damage.
Yeah, and we saw Pixel Sorted down to like 3 cards, just trying to play out all their removal. It was just only, the ability to get to that critical 8 power and survive that really got Pixel Sorted back in this game, because that was very nearly the end of Pixel Sorted. I think Vampus played it really well with the unseal and the protect and things like that. It was super close.
But yeah, like you said, we saw the game plan from the film player just go to the late game, play removal, play some card draw, and just embrace this this role as the control player. And that's exactly how that game played out. Textbook control play. From
So
Pixel there.
players are 1-1 now. I think those finest stars are going to have to come out from Vampus. I think he's going to realize after that game that they weren't very good.
He may not
Especially
have
once you
been
see the
very
Channel
impressed,
Tempest.
right?
Yeah. Especially when you know your opponent is bringing in cards like Channel Tempest. You just want as many unseals, protects, Island's Choice even. Countering a Channel Tempest is frequently game ending.
Yeah, I think if he didn't bring the Islands choices in last game, he definitely will this game. I think maybe cutting the Finest Hours, just like he's got 3 Finest Hours main deck, 3 Islands choice sideboard, just like make that swap real quick and get yourself into a position where you can at least try to stop your opponent from playing the long game like that. But Finest Hour is aggressive, right? Like that's a form of reach, which he had access to. Just didn't work out.
The one card I really don't want to see from Vampus is Rain of Frogs. I think it's just not really what you want to be doing. I think that you can win this on a tempo game. You can get your threats out and then protect them. And I like that strategy more than trying to outgrind Feln with Rain of Frogs.
Yeah, Rain of Frogs isn't that useful when you don't actually have removal for the frogs. Like eventually, like it gets to a point where you're upgrading their deck. Like you're taking out dead cards, you're replacing them with units.
Eventually, but I think post board, I don't think Pixel Sorted has many dead cards. Also, I think Rain of Frogs is actually not very. That's not much of a problem in the Huru deck because you just have so many flyers that you're attacking for so much that they can't attack with the frogs, and they can't block with the frogs. So I think mostly that weakness is gone. But we'll see as we get into the game. Hopefully, we won't even see any frogs as Pixel Sorted on the play here. A little slow hand there. 4 power, 2 8-drops, and a 5-drop.
This is the classic Alunex hand. If you remember back to an ETS that Alunex won a couple of months ago, he like in the finals, like every game that he played was just 5-drop and 8-drops and like 4 power, and eventually just like was the perfect hand. It's exactly what he wanted.
Just
kind of feels
was really slow.
Kind of feels the same way here. Vampus has an aggressive draw like Crown Watch Paladin into like Hoover Pacifier or Sheltering Rider. PixelSorted is going to be on the back foot without an easy way to catch up unless he draws pretty well.
Yeah, it looks like I don't think either player is going to keep this. So Bring Down came in.
Well, PixelSorted already redrew.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vampus definitely didn't want to. Well, he did keep that hand, I believe.
No, he redrew.
He redrew into that.
He had Kothon originally.
I see. Okay. Lightning Strike, very nice pickup for PixelSorted. That's one of the cards he really, really wanted to see in the early game. And there's the Cold Blood, and this is the Alunex effect. Feln doesn't need a good opening hand; it just has to draw perfectly.
Yeah. Exclusive to Feln. There's an exclusive feature of only Feln, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. As power number 4 comes down, it's a Shadow Sigil. Pass turn back to Vampus.
Even playing the Cold Blood, just no respect for Hoover Pacifier.
No, I mean, he has got the Lightning Strike. I think he's okay just Lightning Striking the 3/4 and maybe using the Cold Blood on something like a Millie.
Yep. And let's see if this Unseal comes out here from Vampus' side, because that leaves the room open for Cold Blood.
Right, yeah. If he chooses to unseal, that means he can't develop a Valkyrie Enforcer. And it's not clear if he actually wanted to do that this turn anyway. But yeah, the Cold Blood's going to take out the Hoover Pacifier. It doesn't generate that much card advantage. We're not discarding any pacifiers from hand, but we're not going to see any more of this game.
Cold Blood is just such an obnoxious card.
I think it's great.
Okay. Wait, aren't you? Didn't you used to play like Voda combo? What is this? When did you become?
Yes.
Okay,
I mean,
in cold blood here. Look at this.
oh, this is where in cold blood. Oh, he
Doesn't do
doesn't
anything
play
because
it.
we pass.
He doesn't know. Yeah, Valkyrie Enforcer in Vampus's hand, so the Cold Blood would have actually ripped that one out as well.
Yeah.
So
You're telling me PixelSorted can't see through Vampus's turned over cards? This is ridiculous.
unless he's like stream sniping the broadcast and wants to wait like 10 minutes for the lag to catch up.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be slow play at all. Yeah, PixelSorted is stuck on power here, whereas Vampus flooded on power here. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, Vampus
also,
says
Valkyrie Enforcer, not the threats you want to be drawing into an empty board.
no, there's a there's a 3/3 flyer for 3 can only be so bad, but this is about that limit. Like we've kind of reached that point.
Yeah.
Where it's just not really doing anything. Although PixelSorted is stuck on 4.
Yeah, I think you just play them out and you just try and get in as much damage as you can before your opponent gets to that 5 and 6 power.
Right, he's still holding on to this in cold blood. Vampus has a facey just so in cold blood doesn't actually do anything anymore as far as like taking the Valkyrie Enforcer from hand. A milli is the play from Vampus. It was the draw and the play. In cold blood, the draw for PixelSorted. It's a hint. Play that card.
Yep.
I even have another one for you.
And okay, now we play the Valkyrie Enforcer. Okay, sure. Now that we're on 8 power, it's the play.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Power number 5 from PixelSorted. He has got to decide if he really wants to play this in cold blood. Like he's lost a lot of value on it. Like he's taken like 9 extra damage and only gets to kill 1 card instead of 2. But now that he's on 5 power, he's only 1 power away from being able to play this Black Sky Harbinger. He knows he's going to play the Champion of Cunning next turn at like bare minimum. So get it out of your hand at this point.
And looking pretty grim for PixelSorted here.
Yeah, he was stuck on 4 a little bit too long. I think he held on to the in cold blood for a little bit too long as well. He's ready to take 7 damage this turn, and I don't think he has any cards in his deck that actually stop from taking 3 next turn.
Yeah, I think when you're that low on power, you just can't play conservatively. Well, especially when you're low on power, it usually means you have a ton of cards to play through, so you don't need to play conservatively.
We do draw the undepleted power. That was exactly what he needed to play this Black Sky Harbinger. Unfortunately, there is a bring down in Vampus's hand. So we're going to see the Harbinger come down, gain 4 health up to 7, goes PixelSorted, but bring down is going to be like, I don't really care. You're taking 8 damage, so.
I think he only takes 7 because he's going to lose the Valkyrie.
The Valkyrie goes away. Yep.
But I think that's still lethal for Vampus.
Yeah, I believe it'll be exactly lethal.
Yep. Unfortunate for PixelSorted, but I mean, PixelSorted could have played that better, and that would have definitely changed the course of the game. It's not just entirely, he didn't draw power by any means.
Right, yeah. There were turns where he could have played in cold blood and held on to him. And that's something he's probably going to like reflect on after this game and in the future, where he's, looks back on, he's like, I should just play the in cold blood. I was stuck on power. I had to do something. I couldn't just pass the turn, take 3 damage every single turn.
Wait, was there no... Oh, it was silenced before... While the effect was still on the stack there, before the effect came down, the Black Sky Harbinger got silenced by the bring down, lost lifesteal, then it dealt the damage. That's really interesting. Didn't really matter, but wow. That's kind of cool.
Today I learned.
Yeah.
Wow. It didn't matter there, but yeah, that is definitely an interaction I did not actually know was a thing. That's very, very cool stuff. As the Huru Flyers deck, Huru midrange takes down Big Felm 2-1 in our final round of Swiss. We are getting word on our top 8. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players guaranteed in. We are waiting on one last match result to finalize what's going on in the top 8.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to have any more matches to show you, but we will try and go over the top 8 with you before we cut out of this round.
Great.
So we do have confirmed Moosh at 6-0 on Argentport midrange.
Yep, Moosh at 6-0 Argentport midrange, and Notorious GHP playing the Felnscar Screaming Queen deck that we saw in round 1. Rattles off a 5-1 tournament, and then Paradox we also got to see early on, playing that Argenport mid-range deck against Ilya K, also at 5-1, and the Vampus player that we just watched, or Vampus on the Huru deck that we just watched, also at 5-1.
Pupicitus as well on Argenport at 5-1. So a lot of Justice mid-range, despite in Cold Blood's best efforts. Justice mid-range decks, Tavra decks, Amelie decks, they're still here. A lot of Valkyrie Enforcers.
Aroma Nova on Felnscar Scream, but not the Queen version, more the traditional Beast Caller version. And Tin Man on Chalice is going to be confirmed at 5-1. So we will have Chalice in the top 8, so it'll be a long night for us.
Yeah, so Chalice and Aroma Nova's Scream deck and GHP's Scream deck are the interesting dark horses here. Everyone else basically on Argenport or Moosh on sorry, what was Moosh on?
Moosh is on Argenport midrange. Yep.
Oh, so everyone else is literally on Argenport. All right, good to know.
We have three Argenport decks, 2 Felnscar Scream, a Chalice, a Huru midrange, and our last finalist is in. His name is Child Roland, and he is the actually the dark horse playing Dark Heart in this tournament, and he's going to get in at, I believe, 4-2. So yeah, that is going to do it for the Swiss rounds of this tournament. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with the top 8. We'll see you guys then.